So mate, we went out about a week ago on the Royal Enfield twins. On paper, they look like they're exactly the same bike, but I think we both found they were very, very different. So let's start with the Interceptor. What did you like about the Interceptor?
For me, the Interceptor is super comfortable. As you know, I owned a Continental GT when they first arrived in Australia, and I spent time and money to convert that more into an Interceptor over time. So for me, the Interceptor is bang on comfortable for my body type and the way I ride. Sitting upright, I just felt really comfortable.
For me, I feel comfortable on both those bikes. Yep. Certainly, I think the Interceptor is a more comfortable bike, and probably the bike that it's definitely the more popular, and it's probably the bike that most people would look at if they're looking at one bike. Yep. But before I get into that, it's probably worth pointing out that in terms of power, in terms of the differences, Amber's bike, we had Amber's Continental GT, it's not stock. There's an aftermarket high flow air filter and an aftermarket exhaust on it. So when we talk about power, I thought there was a bit of a difference. Did you think there was much of a difference in power?
You can definitely notice a small difference, but there's the what do they call it? The seat speedo, when it sounds better, so it feels more powerful as well.
Yeah, so I don't know for me whether it was the sound. Like,
yeah, right.
I'm a pretty simple sort of bloke.
Yep.
It sounded louder.
Yep.
So I reckon if it sounded louder, man, I'm definitely going faster. So yeah, talking comfort, like for me, like as I said, definitely felt comfortable on the Interceptor. But I know a lot of people have a problem with the Continental GT, and I think that's why you probably changed yours over with that pressure on your wrists. I don't find that. Like for me, it's quite a comfortable position to be in, and I could literally ride that bike all day.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of other bikes at the moment, and it's a similar sort of riding position. So I'm reviewing a Speed Triple, and I just had an Aprilia 2.0, and yeah, similar sort of position to that Continental GT. So I've actually found it quite comfortable. Yeah. What about handling? What do you think in terms of handling of the two?
There's no doubt that the GT has it hands down
that's what
with
I think.
handling.
Yeah.
You're more engaged. Especially being able to ride the bikes back to back like we did and swap multiple times throughout the day. Once you go from the Interceptor onto the Continental GT, you feel like you're a part of the bike. Like the man and the machine becomes one, as they say. So you definitely notice a difference.
So what I noticed was there was a lot more input from your hips on the Continental GT, and those clip-ons, just like, man, you can just really put it into some corners and feel confident all through the corner. Yep. And not that I didn't feel that on the Interceptor, but I just felt, that Continental GT, the way it holds its line through a corner is just superb. Yep. A lot of that though, I think, is to do with, it's something we both had an issue with, the stock tyres on that Interceptor. So on the Continental GT, we've got a set of Bridgestone BT46s. Yep. Pretty new tyres, they've only been on for about maybe 800 Ks, 1000 Ks. They handle superbly. I reckon I've got them on another bike, they're brilliant tyres. Mate, those stock tyres on the Interceptor, how did you find them?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think that if I was to buy either one of those bikes again, first mods would be tyres and exhaust. They're my first two mods, but you can notice a massive difference when you jumped onto the Bridgestones on the GT of Amber's, because the ones on the Interceptor, they were unfriendly. Unfriendly at high speeds in particular. They
were, and I reviewed a brand new, like the Euro 5 Continental GT not long ago, and the stock tyres on that were exactly the same.
Yeah.
You hit 100 and it just doesn't feel, like it's okay, but it just doesn't feel stable. And it was, when I was just reviewing that Continental GT by itself, I didn't really notice it too much until you jump on a bike with great tyres, and completely different. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's a relatively affordable first modification too. Like it's not to say that it's a game breaker at all. Like you can literally quick set of new tyres and you're ready to go.
Having said that, it's probably not worth ditching them straight away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, depending on the sort of riding you're going to be doing, I suppose you got to, when you're running the engine in, you might as well leave those stock tyres on there.
That's
I don't know, it's. If you are a bit, shorter funds, it's not expensive, but I don't know, keep them on for a little bit and then change them. It's probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
What else did you like about let's talk about the Interceptor. What else did you like about the Interceptor?
It's just a versatile bike. It's like the Swiss Army knife of bikes. You can do distance on it. It's a great city bike, a really great city bike. It's small enough and light enough to lane filter easily. But for me, it's just the versatility of it. And if you're a customizer too, if you're someone who likes to create your own machine, it's the perfect blank canvas to create your own machine as well.
Well, I think they're both very, very, very customisable. Like it's something that I think Royal Enfield's done an amazing job. The price point of those bikes is such that you can spend another couple of grand on it and get a really nice customised bike. So like we've done a few mods to Amber's bikes, paint and indicators and tail lights and stuff, and new headlight as well. Not all that expensive to do that sort of stuff and to make it a bit personal.
Absolutely.
Fit and finish quality, what do you think of the two?
I think for the price, 100%. It's not comparable to a lot of other bikes because there's not many other bikes in its category. But I think for the money that you're paying, you're getting a hell of a lot of machine.
Yeah, I can see there's definitely, from older Royal Enfields, I can see there's definitely a increase in quality on those twins. There's still some things in there that I think, they could look a little better. Some of the welds are a little bit, they're okay, but they're not great. Like I don't like those indicators on the stock indicators and the stock taillight on those bikes. And just little things like the mudguard bracket is just a completely different colour to everything else.
Yes.
Like make it black.
Yeah.
Same with the headlight brackets. They're a different colour on some of the models.
Yep.
They're like that silvery sort of colour. Just make them black.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they've done that. And they're two of the things that we've changed on that Continental GT.
Right.
To make it more like something that Amber and I are happy with.
Yes.
The absolute star of that bike is that engine. Like that 650cc engine, it's just an absolute cracker. I reckon it's over-engineered.
Yeah.
You can see they've spent the money, that and the chassis, developing that engine and the chassis. It's just, it's an absolutely brilliant bike. How did you find the engine?
Yeah, I love it. And that was the greatest thing about when I owned my Continental GT was the engine. And it's the biggest thing that I've missed since I've sold it. And in fact, I've missed my Continental GT a lot. And that's why I've been sitting on the edge of thinking about an Interceptor for the future. But the engine's unreal. I mean, you look at anyone who's modifying the engine at the moment, they're putting 765 kits in, 865 kits in, and they're holding, they're creating a massive amount of power. And Santina from Royal Enfield Sydney, she's actually broken into the 10-second mark on her drag bike, on her Interceptor. I think it's an Interceptor drag bike. Maybe it's a GT.
No, I think it's a Continental GT. She's got,
But she's killing it on the drag strips and setting new records all the time. So
I mean, that's a heavily modified bike.
It's a heavily modified bike, but it's all still based on the initial engine.
Yeah. But it's a good basis.
It's nice to know that what you get from the factory is capable of things like that. With a bit of work.
Yeah. So, Rob, another mod that I would make, and I should have thought about this when we bought Amber's bike, was that those silvery wheel, well, I don't know what colour the wheels are, it looks so much better with black. And I know a lot of the new Interceptors and Continental GTs have black wheels. In hindsight, I probably should have bought the base model with the black wheels and bought a second tank. Because I love that Ventura blue colour. So that's another thing that I would change is those wheels. Probably not going to, but in hindsight, probably should have done that at the start. Yeah.
So one of the reasons I chose the Dr. Mayhem GT was because of the black wheels, because I had an idea to paint the tank anyway. And so if I was to go into the Royal Enfield market again with an Interceptor, I'd just choose one with black wheels, and it doesn't matter about the tank because I'd individualise that anyway.
Yeah, well, I think I could be wrong, but I think most of them now have black wheels.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all do. And in terms of, let's talk about price. Does it surprise you that the Interceptor is the more popular of the two? It's also the cheapest of the two. Not by much. Does that surprise you?
No, I think the GT is a more specialised bike. There's a certain person that wants that cafe racer style, whereas the Interceptor is just a generic. To me, I look at it as a generic bike that's suitable for a lot of people, so they've probably priced that at a price just to get people on it. I mean, we're talking about a product that's come into the Australian market and hit the ground running. Like, they've had so much success here, and it's probably more important just to get a whole bunch of them on the road than it is to price them maybe where they should be.
Yeah, I think the pricing of those two bikes is just incredible. You get a hell of a lot of bike for the money.
Absolutely.
With both of them. Yeah. So, superficial looks of the bikes. What did you? Which one do you prefer?
Okay, so I prefer the look of the Continental GT. 100%. They look sexy as. The Interceptor still looks great, but the GT's got it won when it comes to looks.
Yeah, for me, like the Continental GT, I think just looks like a great look. It's a great looking bike.
Yep.
Interceptor, very nice looking bike.
Yep.
But that Continental GT, something about it that for me, it's that shape of the tank.
Yeah.
Both of them have twin clocks, and I love twin clocks on a bike.
I agree.
I'd love it if they were metal clocks.
Yep.
If they actually, spent a bit more money on those and actually had some nicer sort of metal dials in there. But that's something you could change.
Yep.
But yeah, the shape of that tank, the clip-on handlebars for me just looks superb.
Yeah.
And I think they should all come stock with that little tail cowl, seat
Yes.
cowl.
Yeah, I agree.
Because without that, they just don't look as good.
Yeah.
But the Interceptor's still a great looking bike.
Yeah.
And you could probably do more with that in terms of customization, I think.
See, I look at the Interceptor and for me, I see scrambler. I would like to scramble an Interceptor. That would be my goal.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Swan, who we both know,
Yep.
Jimmy Swan did a sort of a bit of an urban scrambler. I like what he did, but I'd probably take it that little bit further,
Yeah.
like a higher mudguard.
Yeah.
Some like meatier tyres. And I think an urban scrambler on those would look absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I noticed in the build-off that Royal Enfield have been running, I think it was one of the New Zealand dealerships created this beautiful scrambler. So that'd be my goal.
And I think actually, I think it was Surfside did like basically a 650 Himalayan. It was an Interceptor that they turned into a Himalayan.
Yep.
Which I think maybe down the track there might be something with that 650 engine in that down that path.
When I bought my GT, that's what I said at the time. I know it's a very different beast, and the Royal Enfield purists wouldn't agree with me, but I could see that the Himalayan with the 650, at least the new Scram Himalayan, with the 650 would be great.
Which looks interesting, and I've got one of those coming up. I'm going to do another comparison with the Scram and the Himalayan. When I get one of those in June or July.
Awesome.
It's a good looking. It's a good looking bike.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so much with that platform, that 650 platform. There's so much they can do with it.
I think so.
Like it's a cracking engine.
Yep.
They could do a scrambler. Like they could do a 650 Himalayan. There's just so many options there. So, if you were to buy one of those bikes, I know for me, it's the Continental GT all day, every day.
Yep.
Like for me, the look of it, the way it handles, I'd definitely stick some S&S or some sort of aftermarket exhaust on it. I haven't heard any of the Verix ones from Tassie, but apparently they're really good.
Yep.
Needs an aftermarket exhaust, but for me, Continental GT all day, every day. I think it's just a cracking bike.
I'm one of those people that the Continental GT just was unkind to my riding style. My wrists hurt a lot. No matter what I did to adjust my seating position, for me, it just didn't work. So for me, it'd be the Interceptor and it'd be a scrambler.
Yeah.
I'd have to scramble it, without a doubt.
Yeah, nice. One thing I would say is if I was looking at a bike, if I could only have one, it probably would be the Interceptor. Because if you want to carry a pillion, it's much more comfortable on that than the Continental GT. The Continental GT is not all that comfortable with a pillion.
Yep.
And certainly I've thrown, like my son, my 14-year-old's jumped on the back of that Interceptor many times, and it's quite comfy with him on the back.
It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the Continental GT, we've jumped on Ambers with him on the back, and it's not as comfortable. So if I was only going to have one, I'd probably be the Interceptor, but maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. Yeah. See, I just love that Continental GT. I think it's just from like the ride position, the way it makes me feel when I'm riding it. It's just engaging. The way it just handles corners is brilliant. So maybe I'll. Well, you know what? Don't have to have one bike.
No, that's right. Well, clearly, I've seen your garage.
Mate, what's coming up on Throttledownunder?
Mate, we've got a special announcement coming up in the next month or so people will have to stay tuned for that. But just more motorcycle stuff, plenty of product reviews, plenty of motorcycle reviews, and a little bit of an adventure to the centre of the country in September. So I'm looking forward to that.
I did see something about a trip in Perth.
Yes, we're going to Perth at the end of this month.
Yep.
Which may not be at the end of this month.
Might have already happened, yeah.
But you're heading over there. I've got a couple of interviews and stories to do over there. And I'm doing a cool shop ride from Highway Harley-Davidson up to the Pinnacles.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm looking forward to that.
So, Rob, we're still debating the name on this series. We don't know what to call it. I'm thinking Talking Shit in the Fire Pit.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And it can't be the two-bitted, balded bikers like we've done in the past, because
we've got another bloke coming up.
Well, he is bald and bearded, but then your future guests might not have the same hairstyle.
But he's got like proper beard going on.
He's got a good beard. He's got an envious beard. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely beard envy going on
Absolutely.
with our next guest, who will be our first guest, who you'll already be seeing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is all confusing.
The joys of- joys of the
Space-time
internet.
continuum is just out of whack. Mate, thanks for joining me. Well, I reckon we're going to go get a bite to eat.
Yep.
And happy days. I'll see you on the road again soon.
Mate, I appreciate you having me, and feed my belly.
Done.